it wasn't you that was responsible for cutting the power to Iterele. Just to clarify some of the allegations.
So there was no power cutting from anyone's side. What had happened?
And Assalamu alaikum and welcome. You are with Muhammad Kauthar here with Madinah Media, and we are on the spot. Today on the spot we've got our Honorable Councilor of Ward 61, Mr. Naeem Patel. Mr. Naeem Patel, Assalamu alaikum. How are you today?
Wa alaikum assalam, and wa alaikum assalam to the viewers of Madinah Media.
It is an absolute pleasure to have you here with us on the spot, and I think that you know what, it is a big change to have you now from Faruqi, to who has served a 15-year term, to now having new and fresh blood on the seat, on the hot seat, let's call it. So why don't you tell our viewers, our listeners, a little bit about your experience in terms of the transition from Faruqi, his reputation, the work that he's done, and now moving into your service as our Councillor of Ward 61?
Thank you for that question, Kauthar. I think it's very challenging and much more challenging than I thought it will be. I think Faruqi was an excellent councillor, but being an excellent councillor is one part. He's been in council for 15 years. So in 15 years, obviously the experience, the go-to when there's issues, the training as a councillor, he's gone through it 15 years ago. People expect a councillor now that has 15 years experience already in the hot seat. That's been very challenging. However, I must say, Councillor Esop, or Alderman Esop as his title is, has been very accommodating. He's always accepted my phone calls. He's always taken up, I must tell you, even today he's taken up some of the challenges of the community. Some of the issues where we could not get help because we don't have a council as yet in terms of a mayoral committee. Faruqi has assisted us in taking up those challenges. So although it's been a challenge, Councillor Faruqi has made it a bit easier. And I'm asking the community to continue and bear with me as we go through this initial stage of first few months of being a councillor, so that we can get used to who's who in council. I think the main thing in council is not the knowledge, it's who to go to, the go-to people. Different people work on different days, different directors for different departments, who to go for which issues. And especially the fact that we have such a vast ward where we have an informal settlement, we have a farm or small holding area, we have estates. So it's different people for different functions in different areas. So I think we're starting to get used to that. Council was only sworn in about 4 or 5 days ago, last weekend, Thursday actually. So things are starting to take shape a bit. It's getting, I won't say easier, but it's getting a bit less pressure on my side. Is that, look, when a query comes down, it's a bit easier to deal with.
Look, I think that's an excellent point that you highlighted, that there's this camaraderie between yourself and the previous councillor. So you've got this experienced 15-year term councillor. He's still willing to assist, and I think that's the most important part, to see that you guys are still collaborating, you guys are still working together. But it is still very early days, and people need to understand that we're only 4 days in as councillor. Even though the elections took place, you know what,
almost a month ago.
Almost a month ago. So, you know, I think the transition phase, you know, it's happening stage by stage. So, you know, that's very good news to hear. And why don't you enlighten us? I know it's very early in, but we've seen that there's already been so many challenges that you had to face even before coming into office, which many people were not even aware of. So why don't you enlighten us about some of the challenges, perhaps even before you took office, and perhaps now, why don't we touch on specifically on the incidents that took place in terms of Itereleng, certain accusations that was placed on your name. Give us your side of the story.
Yeah, I think, you know, we believe everything comes from the Almighty. And sometimes it's good when you just start something and thrown into the deep end. So I think I probably had the worst first week or the most challenging first week. I won't say the worst first week, the most challenging first week that any councillor can have. So as we know, elections took place on the 1st of November. We had some issues with regards to the vote counting of Iteraleng, so Lodium's results only came out around about the 4th of November. The IEC then only announced official results on the 9th of November. From the 9th of November, we were councillors, but councillors basically without training and without any assistance, as we had to wait for the swearing in. Because of all the collision and the fact that no political party won the metro in Tshwane, obviously coalition talks were taking place. We had to delay the swearing in process, and we only got sworn in last week on Thursday, on the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken, the 23rd of November. In my first week as councillor, we had the power outage. The whole of Erasmia, Lodium, Iteraleng, Claudius was without power. I think this was very challenging because you had the whole community expecting the same type of service delivery as they received from Faruqi. And I think we tried our best to do that. Faruqi also assisted us. The power outage was much bigger than just our area. The entire Centurion area was off. So the city council was sitting with a huge backlog in terms of power. Valhalla didn't have power for 5 days, I think, some areas of Centurion 4 or 5 days. Ours was 2 days without power. While power was off in the ward, in Ward 61, we had an issue in Iteraleng where some residents went onto the power point or the power box transformer, as we call it, and took power illegally.
So just to clarify, Mr. Naeem, it wasn't you that was responsible for cutting the power to Iteraleng. Just to clarify some of the allegations.
So there was no power cutting from anyone's side. What had happened is power was off from the whole area. While the power was off, some illegal connections took place in Iteraleng from some of the transformers. When the night when the power came on, I think it was 11 o'clock at night, we were sitting at the power station just behind us here. Every time you switch on Iteraleng, the power of Lodium in Claudius Erasmia was basically tripping because the power in Iteraleng there was too much power being used because of the illegal connections. They then switched on our area and they kept Iteraleng, not the entire Iteraleng. One part of Iteraleng was without power. So where basically the illegal connections were taking place. So most of Iteraleng had power. There was a small area of Iteraleng without power. I then contacted the director, I contacted the regional executive director as well to say, listen, at that time there was no mayor. So we had to go obviously to the directors and the executive directors, put as much pressure as I could to try and get power restored to Iteraleng. This was also reported on the Iteraleng service portal, which I can show you all the WhatsApp messages, all the info that was sent. That look, I've put this pressure, these are the emails, these are the WhatsApp messages I've sent to these departments. Faruqi also called and the director wanted to basically hear nothing. He wanted, his words were, let them cut the let them remove the illegal connections and we will restore power. Subsequent to this, on a Friday night, about 2 weeks ago, there was a march that took place by certain residents of Iteraleng to Erasmia and demanding that power be restored immediately. I went to the South African Police Services SEPS in Erasmia and I said to the lady behind the counter, the police officer, that look, we need to bring in reinforcements. Because the word we're getting from the military road as they were marching down is it's a violent protest, it's illegal violent protest because there was no permission for this protest. The police officer said to me, who are you? And I said, I'm the councillor, Naeem Patel, newly elected. And she said to me, please come into the police station. I then went in and said, look, you cannot leave the police station because our job to protect you. And we have 4 police officers here. Right now we cannot give you police protection. We need to call in POPs, public order policing, as well as TMPD. As soon as they come in, we'll be able to give you protection and you can then go and meet the protesters. This was for about an hour and a half or 2 hours. I was in the police station.
So you were not, you did not go voluntarily into police protective custody. You
No,
went to assist
you know, I think people don't understand. There's no
community.
such thing as police protective
Right.
custody. You
Yes.
can't declare yourself into police protective
Exactly.
custody. The police can't. I mean, this thing was, we need to give you protection because this thing can blow out. Your life is at stake. Just wait until pops comes. So I then my phone basically died while sitting in the police station, and the police, when I said please I need to go, they said no, let us go and check the situation. About 2 hours later they went and checked the situation, and then they said to me, okay, we'll now allow you to go. They didn't even escort me, they allowed me to go with disaster management team that was there to the place where the rioters were. When we got to the house where the rioters were, they had already left. I then addressed some of the, or I had a discussion with some of the houses that were affected by the rioters, and obviously at that time it was very heated. And I left that night. I got messages from the families who were affected by this march, and asking for forgiveness basically for what transpired in terms of a heated discussion and so on. And I could understand their frustration. I mean, people came to your house threatening you. Exactly. The next morning I had a meeting with some of the leadership of Itiraleng. The surprising thing, I must say, Councilor, myself, I've been working for a while, as you know, during campaign for the last at least 3-4 months in Itiraleng, meeting the leadership. So I was quite aware of who the leaders are of Itiraleng. The people who marched, there were no leadership of Itiraleng. Even Councilor Fark, when he came to the marches, he did not know the people that were marching.
So do you suspect foul play when
I'm not going to make a broad statement to say foul play, but it doesn't make sense that many of the leaders of Itiraleng had come to my house and had met at my house for meetings during the election campaign. But this group of people at march didn't even know my house address. They didn't know where. So it means that the leadership were not involved. They exactly know where I stay. I mean, they've been to my house. We've had meetings before our office opened in Erasmia. We had meetings for 2 months at my house. So the leadership knows.
They didn't know where your house
the next
was.
morning, the next morning, Saturday morning, I was sleeping and I got a call from one of the leaders of Itiraleng, and he said, I need some assistance. I said, don't you know what happened last night? And he was taken aback. He said, what are you talking? I said, there was a riot at in Erasmia. He said, we know nothing about it. So it was very surprising that the people marched. The leadership of Itiraleng were unaware of this march. No one from the ANC in Itiraleng contacted me.
Well, I suppose it's very good that we're getting your side and your take to set the record clear, and looking at the dynamics of the ward and the various challenges. I believe, and I was present during the campaigning process, many of the candidates and people in the community, groups in the community have pledged their support. Whoever wins, they've pledged their support to that particular entity. How has the support been from the various candidates and community organizations towards you now that you have taken office? Or do you feel that there's a bit of a bitter taste in the air after the results have been mentioned?
Councilor, I think that's a good point. I think throughout the campaign, every one of our candidates had made it that if whoever wins, we'll support each other. And I think, besides yourself, I really didn't get that from the community. When I won, or when the announcement was made, Dushen, the independent candidate, did send out a video congratulating me. I, on a few occasions, after winning, had made statements in both the local newspaper, the Lodium Sun, as well as on my when I was sworn in last week Thursday, to say thank you to the candidates, thank you to the supporters. We now have to work it as one. No one has come forward in terms of candidates. Community organizations, I must say, people that supported other political parties have come forward, but candidates themselves, nobody have come forward and said, listen, we're here to work with you. Currently we have some very serious issues in our ward in terms of water. In Ikharat for 7 days no water. And I've said to the community numerous times that, and numerous of the leaders, that look, I stood on the ANC ticket, but now I'm a councillor for the people of Ward 61.
Exactly.
They themselves have called and sent messages to thank me, to say, look, although we might not have supported you, but we're seeing that you are supporting us. I've written a letter to the mayor on the issue, taken it up with the director. So we here, and again I'm saying this on Madinah media, maybe other candidates are maybe shy for a better word, but I'm here, and I think every one of you have something to offer our community. Otherwise you wouldn't have stood up and you wouldn't have got some kind of votes from our community if you had nothing to offer. So I think I'm again putting my hand out to every one of the candidates of Ward 61. Please, we need to rebuild this ward. We need to make this ward back to, make this ward a place where we all can be proud of. So thank you to those that have come forward, and I'm asking the candidates, every one of you, to please come forward.
Very quickly, Mr. Naeem, I think we've got to wrap up 1 minute. Last 2 questions in a nutshell. Number 1, pledged the candidates, yourself in your campaign, how will you improve the communication to the citizens in Ward 61? And finally, just to end off lightly, aside from your duties as a councillor, what is your big vision and goal for this ward?
I think to make communication easier, we've just launched a service delivery mobile WhatsApp number. So I'm no more going to use the current number I'm using. It's very difficult to be on 60 or 70 groups and then getting a reference number here, or this one talking about his dog being lost and that one's bird lost, and a gate being left open. So what we've done, we've got a dedicated cell phone number now. It's 064 503 7483. This number will be made sent to all the public. So anybody has an issue, please send us a reference number and private WhatsApp me, so I can take up your issue privately. If there's an issue that affects the community in general, or your area in general, we're dividing the ward into 10 different areas. This will be done by Sunday, which will have a WhatsApp group per area. This area will be basically just a reporting WhatsApp group. It won't be for discussion or anything, just for me to report back to the community. There's no water in area 1, this is what we've done. Any issues the current residents have, they must please raise it with me directly. So it'll be easier. I know now, okay, Councilor has this issue where the park fence is not there. I'm dealing with Councilor. I'm not speaking on a WhatsApp group where 3 days ago he put the issue on there, and 20 other messages or 30 other messages comes down. I must now look for that message where I have to go back to Councilor or to that person.
Exactly.
So it's going to be, this is one of our ways. Secondly is the office at the Civic Center. We're going to, if I'm not here, I have an assistant here now that will be running the office in my absence. If I'm not here, I'm busy in meetings or in council or with other work. There'll be somebody at least from 9 to 3 every day. Please, I'm asking the community, if you need to, please come in, make an appointment to come and see me anytime, no problem. In terms of your last question,
yes.
I think we want the ward that our children are proud of. You know, I still maintain I don't want to leave this ward, and my kids don't want to leave this ward. So we want to live in this in Lodium Erasmus, in this area. We got nowhere else to go. We love this place. We grew up here. So I think it is for us to put our foot first and to make sure that this is a ward that our grandchildren, I have 2 grandkids now, while elections was on, my second granddaughter was born. So we want to make sure that for our grandchildren, they can be proud of this ward.
And Jazakallah so much, Councillor Naeem Patel, for being with us and giving us the time here with Madinah Media, and that's on the spot. So it was fantastic having you today, and I am Muhammad Kauthar. Thank you for all our listeners and our viewers for tuning in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Advertise with us. Take your business to new heights by advertising with Radio 1584. Alternatively, you can get us on 079 374 1584. That is 079 374 1584.
Radio 1584, window to your world.